Sorry I'm late. My internet is acting real spotty, so we'll see. Hopefully we can get through the whole live. If not, I might be a little glitchy. So that's that. Happy Thursday. Tonight we are drinking black owned wine, OPP, which stands for, this one is Other People's Pinot, which is great. It's by Maison Noir. Honestly, I think this is my new favorite. It's really good. As you can see, this is done. So yeah. How are y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing well. Let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully everything is working. If it's not, I'll just record it and then edit it. Okay, we'll see. I know there's usually like a little bit of glitch. So yes, our live starts around 7-ish. For those of you that are new, that haven't watched it before, around 7-ish. It's 7:15. We're still in the ballpark. Okay. Let me know if you can hear me. And if not, you can hear? Okay, great. Jarvis loves this wine. It's really good. I highly recommend. Highly recommend. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Lydia. Okay, great. You can hear. Awesome. So today we are going to talk about Mr. Dave Ramsey, the personal finance personality that many people, including myself, when I started my debt-free journey, have used his teachings to set a little ground rules because I'm a little bit, no, Ashanti, you're not late. I have no sense of time sometimes. To set a little ground rules because I have already tussled with Dave and his rambunctious crew before. Now, YouTube has disabled the like button. If you dislike something now on YouTube, it doesn't show it. So if you see yourself getting a little mad about this, it's okay. Bring your blood pressure down. Trust me, I do not care. If you dislike the video, it doesn't really matter because it will just go towards engagement. Highly recommend. The most wild, outlandish, foolish, unchristian-like comments I have ever gotten have been on the prior Dave Ramsey lawsuit. And some of y'all should be ashamed. So I'm just going to set those ground rules there. Hey, Ruslan, how are you? So hopefully everybody can be their best self today and behave. If not, child, it is what it is. So we're going to start with defining toxic workplace. We are not going to say the word COVID because then the algorithm will shadow ban this entire video. So Miss Rona, we are going to talk about Dave's version of his thoughts around that, which is to pray the Rona away. Yeah. That's very interesting. And then we are going to talk about the power of collective solidarity. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate the super chat. And by that, I was supposed to put a clip from Microsoft, but I'll remember at the end what the Microsoft employees are doing, and then we'll talk about it. All right. So let's continue. Okay. So before we get into it, I just want to know if you would work in a place like this. So let me make myself small so y'all can see. In a 60-day interview process, Lampo required over a dozen phone, Skype, and in-person interviews with members of Lampo leadership. That's very thorough. To be honest, I don't mind a long interview process as long as they let you interview them. It is a little bit annoying. And to be honest, it can be a little bit invasive. But I've had really short interview processes and realized that, this was a bad idea. So, okay, fine. The interview process, however, is a bit different in the situation. The process also required 2 spousal video interviews, a spousal dinner. Mind you, the spouse does not work nor wants to work at this company. Okay. Personality testing. And plaintiff turning in a monthly budget detailing personal finances. Now, the personal finance bit is very invasive. However, this is a personal finance company that preaches you cannot have credit cards, you cannot do all these things, so they want their employees to abide by that. I mean, it is very invasive, but fine. Maybe we could say fine. It's a little bit weird. However, this whole spousal part is very strange, and strange is putting it kindly. What does someone's spouse have to do with the quality of work or the work product that the person interviewing is going to give? So just to put that out there, this is what Lampo, which is the formal corporate entity of the Dave Ramsey organization, what it is called. All right. So again, keep in mind, would you work here? Keep in mind, and y'all know I cannot see this, so hold on. Early in plaintiff's employment, and we're doing it a little bit different. We're gonna get into the actual lawsuit. This is part of the lawsuit in a second, but I just want you to close your eyes and think, would you work at this place? Early in plaintiff's employment, Lampo strongly encouraged plaintiff to be Facebook friends with all of his coworkers and supervisors. I'm telling you right now, I highly recommend you block your coworkers. I have a friend, a coworker friend. We finally became friends. She is lovely. Shout out to Jessie, who literally blocked all of our coworkers. And I think that's great. I think that's great. I just don't tell my coworkers about my social media. Lampo encouraged plaintiff's wife, again, the wife does not work there, to join the Lampo Ladies Facebook group. When I read that, that reminded me of the Sunbeams. Did y'all ever watch the game? Yeah, the Sunbeams. The Lampo Ladies Facebook group is used to facilitate spousal friendships for employees of Lampo. Why? Why is this necessary? Ramsey management monitored the board, Lampo Ladies, for opinions of wives of employees for dissent or for not being on board. Now remember, this is a complaint in a lawsuit, so these are all allegations. If we were to ask one of the lovely Lampo Ladies, they would say, no, we monitor it to make sure everybody feels comfortable. Obviously. It's having the group is a lot of bit strange. It's also the monitoring, highly inappropriate. Okay. Upon information and belief, the Lampo's Ladies Board is run by the wife of a human resources director for Lampo. Not you having your wife doing free labor to go monitor everybody else's wife. That does not work here. Also, where's the Lampo men's group? Are the men not getting monitored? Listen, it's a lot happening. Now just think to yourself, would you work here? That's all. That's all I want you to think. Okay, now let's get into the current case. So one of the former employees is suing the Lampo group, Ramsey Solutions, and Dave Ramsey himself. He is specifically suing them for a multitude of claims. There are about 5 claims, which we'll get into a second. Before we get into his claims, I want to play from the old video I did. I think this is in March. In March, there was a prior lawsuit. And before you get into why are there Lampo ladies, why does your spouse need to get interviewed, why are you giving personal finance information to your employer who's paying you, which is a little strange, let's look into one of the tenets of working at Lampo and working at Ramsey Solutions, which is righteous living. My English is great. Okay. So, Ramsey Solutions mission statement. Ramsey Solutions provides biblically based, common sense education and empowerment that gives hope to everyone in every walk of life. So, Team Crusade, Colossians 3:23, we won't get through all of it. We will scroll down to righteous living. We believe that character matters all the time. This sounds great. Yes, your character matters all the time. What you do in private will come to public. Maybe they should apply that to themselves. But anyway. Yeah, it didn't age well. So in the prior lawsuit, hold on, here we go, that Dave Ramsey and Lampo and Ramsey Solutions is facing, Dave Ramsey has admitted, and yes, that he fired an employee for having premarital sex. This woman, employee, they realized she had premarital sex because she was pregnant. And when you are pregnant, obviously, people can see your belly. And yes, Dave Ramsey specifically said in court documents, as well as her supervisor, everyone else, that she was fired specifically for having premarital sex. Now, the issue with this is A, this is not 1925, but B, not everyone, according to many people at Ramsey Solution, were fired for having premarital sex. Most noticeably, this is Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan used to run a lovely channel on YouTube that no longer exists. That channel was owned, all of the IP, by Ramsey Solutions, and Chris Hogan notoriously was having numerous philandering affairs. Some of said affairs allegedly in the Ramsey offices themselves. While he was married for 20 years to a one Miss Melissa Hogan, who aired him out properly on Twitter, on a Medium blog, and on her own personal website, as he deserved. The problem with this was, if the rule was nobody is allowed to get any, why was Chris allowed to do this? Which is what, when the woman sued, she cited Chris's name. She cited numerous men in that office that she had knowledge of having affairs. And the other men are not public figures, so I never named them because that's their personal business between them and their wife, and they need to figure that out. However, Chris, as a public figure, he admitted to having personal failings, and his personal failings were said lawsuits. That lawsuit was the crux of people realizing Ramsey Solutions is a little bit of fugazi place to work, maybe. Insert Mr. Amos, who is suing now. Now, before we get into the Amos lawsuit, again, in response, just so you know what type of company we're dealing with, in response to a reported request for information regarding the prior lawsuit, Dave Ramsey's company decided to say this. Let me see if this works. If I do this like this. Oh, didn't work. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to show you the full response because this is wild. So give me a second because y'all know this always takes me forever to do. 1 second. Okay, share. Can you see it now? Perfect. Okay, I'm going to remove myself so you can see everything. So this is from the Religion News Service, which actually is a very interesting website that just looks at all types of religions in different, and I would say from like a critical view and social commentary. It's very interesting. I discovered them when I did the last edit. So basically, editor's note, Religion News Service has reported on concerns about Ramsey Solutions, the financial advice and media company run by evangelical Christian financial expert Dave Ramsey. The company sent the following response to RNS requests for comment. All they did was ask Ramsey Solutions for a comment as to, hey, it's giving funny business. Like, what are y'all doing? Mind you, from the public relations account at Ramsey Solutions, January 14th, 2021, we request for interview and comment by Thursday close of business. Bob, addressed to Bob. Now, first of all, I have never seen something so unprofessional in my life, so we are going to read the entire thing because it's wild. Thanks for reaching out. We want to confirm for you that you are right. We are horrible people. I think a little facial expression would be good for this. Okay. We exist to simply bring harm to our team, take advantage of our customers, and spread. It says, you know what it says. It says Rona. I'm just going to sub that in. And you figured it all out in capital letters. It's the rude cheekiness of these people for me. Wow, who would have guessed that an unemployed guy, I'm sorry, a freelance reporter would be the one to show us how horrible we are so we can change and to let the world know of our evil intent, secrets, and complete disregard for decency. But capital letters, you did it. You, with all your top-notch investigative skills, have been able to weave together a series of half-truths to expose our evil ways. You are truly amazing. First of all, I don't know why they're speaking to Bob this way. All Bob did was ask for a comment. Wow. Because your personal virtue is so incredible, we want to help you with your hit piece and confirmation bias. We actually have audio of the time Chris Hogan farted in church, and you should listen. It is truly horrendous. Yes, this is what Ramsey Solutions wrote back to a reporter asking them a question. This is from a company email address. This is probably the wildest company email I have seen in a long time. And I've seen a lot of them. A couple of weeks ago, our team decided to do a workshop. We won't read the whole thing, but I'll read a couple more sentences because it's hysterical. A workshop service today at 4:30 to kick off the new year. We would love to have you come. First of all, not yelling at Bob and then telling Bob to come to Sunday worship service. Wow. You can bring your camera and get some great shots because there will probably be someone without a mask. Who knows? There might be someone not socially distancing. And if you use those razor sharp investigative skills of yours, you will probably catch one of them with their hands raised in the worship to Jesus. Why is Jesus always getting dragged to places he does not want to be? Minding his business upstairs. And yet people are writing snarky, rude, sarcastic emails and saying, well, Jesus told me to. Jesus told you no such thing. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit because it's very long. Mind you, this person wrote this entire thing. We are also blind copying several friends to ask for their help as well. They are the pastors of the top churches in the area, several business leaders and Christian leaders who have known Dave and Ramsey Solution for decades. Also, we are copying our whole team. Lord have mercy. If you are on this email, we would ask a favor for Ramsey. Would you help us? Not weaponizing a troll army of pastors and employees. Bob's phone number and email are here. We would ask that you contact him today in capital letters and tell him all the evil, horrible stories you know about us. Also, he lives in Spring Hill, so if you see him out and about, be sure to congratulate him on his virtue. He needs to sell this story to pay his rent, and the dirtier your story on us, the more we can help him. Can you please not be mean? Bob already has a lot of anxiety, and we don't want to add to it. If his phone is overwhelmed or he doesn't want to hear your story, you should contact Religion News Service and tell them of Bob's amazing grasp on virtue and truth. Yes, and that is what you call doxing, trying the shit out of somebody, and to be honest, overall, very unchristian-like. I don't think anybody with a straight face, now again, because I've already, played roulette with the Ramsey crew, if you are getting upset, it's your own people acting a fool. Awful, just awful. But let us continue with the lawsuit at hand. And pause, because y'all know it's going to take me a second. Hold on. Have you ever in your life seen something so wild from a company email? I mean, maybe yes, but wow. Okay, so are we on the right one? Perfect. Okay, so now I am going to go through, we'll probably get halfway through, and then I'll look at comments, and then we'll do the other half. So we're going to continue on. Let me make myself a little smaller. Okay, something to note. So when Mr. Amos decided to work for Ramsey Solutions, it should be noted that this man lived in California and his annual salary was $240,000 as a senior video editor. He was getting paid very well. However, he moved to Tennessee with his entire family because he really believed in Dave Ramsey. He really believed that this was a good Christian place to work. And as a Christian man himself, he wanted that for his family. He believed in it so much that his salary went from $240,000 to $90,000 and a $10,000 relocation bonus. I think it's important to know, if you really want to do good work and you want people to do good work, first of all, why are you taking advantage? And why is the salary so skewed? First of all. Second of all, I think that also shows that the plaintiff had all intentions to work here for a long time. He clearly believed in the company. Nobody is taking that much of a hit if they don't believe in something. As somebody who recently quit their job, and we're going to do a whole video on that later, and is taking a pay cut, no one takes a pay cut if they don't believe in something. Okay, so just to note that in the back of your mind, if you're thinking, oh, this man is just complaining. Okay, now what are the claims? So the claims are retaliatory discharge, religious discrimination, fraud, which I think is very interesting. We're going to specifically talk about the fraud claim, promissory estoppel, which is a contract claim, basically saying, hey, you promised me this. I relied on that promise, and now it has been to my detriment, as in you promised me this good job in a non-cult-like environment, an environment that would be safe for my family. Now you're recruiting my wife to Lampo ladies when she's just trying to mind her business. And, this is not what we agreed. And then false pretense. Okay, so Mr. DeCiso, hopefully I'm saying that right, hopefully, is Mr. Amos's boss, by the way, because, we're skipping around. Can't be reading through the whole 30 pages. During this, he had a review with boss, and he emphasized that with his employee, which was Amos, he emphasized that Amos was a fantastic team member and that plaintiff had been and reinforced their previous assurance that he would be given a leadership role with a pay increase. So they said, I know, Amos, we're not really paying you well, but it's okay. The Lord will provide. Just keep trucking along and it will be fine. All right. So Amos also participated in the Lampo mandatory extracurricular activities. I don't even want to know what those extracurriculars were. I really don't. Lampo required its employees to fill out weekly personal reports, which is interesting. These personal reports required employees to scale their happiness with a green or red indicator regarding their personal victories and struggles for that week. That reminds me of like the sticker chart I had in the second grade, where you start off on, what is like a happy color? You start off on like green or blue, and every time you do something, you just move down. And if you end up in the red or the black, child, it's your ass in a belt, which is not good. All right, so throughout the early spring of 2020, the spread of Rona became nationwide news and the concern of many Americans. Yes, we are in a panorama, a potpourri, still continuing. This news was significantly alarming for potential victims with pre-existing conditions known as high-risk individuals who would have significantly greater medical consequences than others. Upon information and beliefs, plaintiff's wife and son were high-risk potential victims of this virus. Plaintiff had a deep religious devotion to protect the health and safety of his family. As such, plaintiff exercised extreme caution, and made personal measures not to potentially infect his family with the Rona. Like a responsible person. Okay, wonderful. What is the problem? Now, back to remember, one of the claims is religious discrimination. So, speaking of that, I feel like this is small. Plaintiff had a deep religious devotion to respect and care for health and safety of others in his community, to follow the golden rule, to not do harm to others. This sounds so Christian-like, right? Shouldn't Christian people, as Christians, shouldn't we care about our community? One would think, one would hope. As such, plaintiff exercised additional caution not to potentially spread the virus to his coworkers and friends outside of work. He might be the only person in that office that has friends outside of work. Maybe that's why they didn't understand. I don't know. All right. Now, Dave and them, however, sorry, there's a plane going. Dave and them, however, had a little bit of different thoughts. So specifically on March 2nd, 2020, on his radio show, this is not an allegation, this is straight from Dave's mouth, we have people calling in. They are wanting to cancel stuff for a live event, his live event in May, his event where he makes money off of poor people. Okay. Let me tell you how much of your money I'm going to give you back if you don't come for the Rona in May. 0. I'm keeping your money. You are a wuss. This is what he's telling his paying customers. I took your money and I don't give a damn. If you don't put your butt in this seat, I still have your money. And that's that. Yeah, that's a lot. I would not give my money to somebody that would then yell at me and then not give me a refund. If I told them way in advance, hey, yeah, I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going anymore. I hope everyone called their credit card company and claimed it as fraud, to be honest. Later in May 2020, an anonymous Lampo employee reported violations under OSHA and/or CDC guidelines. Mr. Ramsey addressed this report and specifically described the anonymous employee as cowardly and disloyal, asking that the employee should do the right thing and quit. Lord Jesus. Now, to make it worse, plaintiff Amos expressed concern that Lampo had not taken any effort to implement any precautions against Rona, despite the proximity to an infected employee. Multiple employees at Lampo tested positive for COVID. Oh, crap, I said the word. Damn it. I was trying to say the word. Hopefully the algorithm doesn't hear me. Plaintiff reiterated his worries concerning his child with Coats disease and his high-risk wife with a predisposition for pneumonia. Plaintiff's religious beliefs require him to protect his family's health and safety. One of the executives dismissed plaintiff's concern, informing him that Lampo's current response was sufficient and that plaintiff needed to simply pray and keep moving forward. Pray and keep it going. Keep editing those videos and pray in between on your lunch break. Now, again, I know the Lord is very busy. I feel like people don't know the Lord is very busy. Praying for something that you have a solution to seems a little silly. Lampo expected its employees to adopt the religious views of Mr. Ramsey that taking Rona precautions demonstrated weakness of spirit. This is allegedly what Dave said in a 900-person employee meeting with 900 people in said meeting in small proximity. And prayer was the proper way to avoid Miss Rona infection. No, that's not the way. And also, last time I checked, Dave Ramsey is not a medical doctor. Last time I checked, science can help people, but you know what? I stopped arguing with these people a long time ago. In fact, Mr. Ramsey and other Ramsey Solutions leadership actively denigrated any of the opposing religious beliefs that supported taking preventative measures. Specifically, in his 900-person meeting, like I said, Mr. Ramsey stated the fear of working in the office because of Miss Rona demonstrates weakness of spirit. Or it demonstrates good common sense because people are dirty. But, you know. Now, to make it worse, not only did the plaintiff complain, but his wife posted on her personal Facebook, hey, the government, particularly Tennessee governor, is not listening to what everyone else is doing. Mad people in Tennessee are high risk. Maybe we should do these things. To which the Lampo ladies, I assume somebody snitched on her. On March 22nd, 2020, plaintiff's wife shared a post criticizing the Tennessee's government weak response, presumably seen by Lampo employees. I bet it was those Lampo ladies. I bet it was them. On March 24th, plaintiff went into the office of Lampo to pick up his personal items because he, at that point, had said, hey, both my son and my wife have pre-existing conditions. I'm going to work from home because I'm not getting them sick for y'all. And your raggedy, paltry 90 grand, let's be honest, that huge pay cut is really bothering me. Plaintiff found the building mostly empty except for the edit bay where plaintiff worked. In the edit bay, 5 people were crammed into a small space with a party-like attitude. Snacks, drinks, and whiskey were there for employees in the bay. Whiskey. I find that interesting because when I did the prior video and Ramsey's Rambos wanted to get upset with me, there were a few of them specifically mad that A, I was drinking black-owned wine, and B, that I was drinking wine, period. I wonder what they think of Ramsey's employees allegedly drinking hard liquor in the office. Whew, the nerve. On the job. Wow. Surprising. In addition, in this meeting, so then he had a meeting finally after he complained numerous times. Just a backstory. He complained numerous times, said, hey, this is unsafe. He then was told that he needs to have reorientation because he had not understood the Lambo way properly. The Lampo, not the Lambo. Child, only Dave could be driving a Lambo. The rest of them clearly aren't getting paid well. He didn't understand the Lampo way. And so one of the HR people had to indoctrinate him again, to which they were concerned and convinced the problem was really his marriage, particularly his wife, particularly because his wife posted that she wanted the Tennessee government, to whom she pays taxes to do more for its citizens. Very interesting and also very inappropriate. So his supervisor finally stated that plaintiff was not a good fit. After telling him numerous times that his work was great, he hired him all the way from California. He had worked there for about 2 years at this point, and was perceived that plaintiff had a lack of humility. Additionally, the supervisor explained the reason for this decision by demeaning plaintiff's attempts to take preventative measures, stating that plaintiff was not a good fit because he would stand off to the side all the time. In the crowded office where people have already confirmed to have Rona. Sir, of course, he's not standing next to you. You're dirty. That's like those coworkers, you go to the bathroom and you realize Miss Ma'am, I saw you didn't wash your hands. And then they want to be all chummy with you and you're just looking at them like this. And then you slowly pull out your hand sanitizer just sanitize. Do you want some? Because child, it's a mess. So yes, he was fired. Now, there were 5 counts. The count I want to focus the most on is the fraud count because this is very interesting. And this is the first time I've seen in an employment law dispute, the first time that we've covered it. I'm sure other people have done this, but the first time that I've seen it and that we've covered it, a former employee claiming fraud, saying, not only are you discriminating against me, not only did all these things happen, not only is this retaliatory is usually the usual one. However, this is fraud. So specifically, plaintiff hereby realleges the foregoing paragraphs, everything, and specifically stated defendants knowingly made false statements about plaintiff's employments with defendants, including plaintiff would edit features and help create their new film department. Oh, you know what I realized? Hold on. There was a part in there that he got demoted. I guess I forgot to put that in there. So let's step back before we go to the claims. Before he was fired, because he refused at that point to go into the office, he was like, listen, I got my stuff. I can work from home. I'm a grown man. It's fine. Huna ardoti. I don't want to be over here. They then demoted him from senior editor to assistant project manager. That might not be the exact title, but it was a demotion, and told him he would get his title back when he took his butt back into the office. Lord, wild. Okay, so now let's get back to this. So let me make myself small. Okay, plaintiff would edit features and help create their new film department, which they demoted him, so he couldn't do that anymore. Defendants specifically told him that they were not cult life because the plaintiff alleged that in his interview process he brought up the Glassdoor reviews, the lawsuit previously that he had seen, and said, hey, I just want to make sure I don't move from California where it's warm and sunny to Tennessee and y'all gonna act a fool with me. So he claimed, like, well, this is fraud because I feel like I joined a cult with these Lampo ladies that I don't want to be around. Defendant operated a drama-free workplace. That part made me laugh that he put that in there and said, y'all are full of drama, which I should have put in that TikTok of, I'm not the drama. Is it me? Yes, Dave, it's you. It's always been you. Defendants have been voted best place to work for over 10 years in a row by their own employees without interference from management. He alleged that management forced the employees to vote for best place to work. And to be honest, I have worked at places where, and I'm sure y'all have worked at places when those surveys come out and when specifically when we have like certain tech ones, having worked at certain tech companies, HR will go around and say like, hey, did you vote? You got to make sure to vote for us. If we win, we'll get this, etc. So yeah. Defendants were family friendly and would allow plaintiff to spend time with his family without interference from defendants. When defendants made each of these statements, they were false. Plaintiff reasonably relied on these representations in accepting the position, etc. So he said, listen, y'all are all a bunch of liars. I was promised these things and I was given none of that. I think what's going to be interesting in this case is going to be, let's just go back to the beginning. So that way we don't have to look at that. What's going to be in terms of, actually, let's look at the claim because I wanted to say, here we go. In terms of retaliatory discharge, I think he has a strong case because he's shown, listen, you said I was a great employee. You said I was doing this great work. The minute I said like, hey, my wife and my son, they have pre-existing conditions. I need to work from home. Then you started acting weird with me. That's pretty strong. The religious discrimination claim is interesting. So most of the Rona cases we've been seeing are people claiming the opposite? Are people saying, I don't have to get that shot because my religion said I don't need to get it. But when I get sick, trust me, I'm going to use that public hospital bed. That's mostly people claiming the religious discrimination. He claimed the opposite. He said, as a good Christian, I care about my community. And part of caring about my community as a good Christian is making sure that A, I social distance, and B, that I stay at home away from people and I make sure I don't get anyone sick. At one point in the lawsuit, he even proposed, which I think is interesting, to his employer, like, okay, I can come into the office, but then I'm going to have to live in our garage. To which he stated his boss was like, no, that would look very bad. We can't do that. But also, if that was happening, like, who's going to know? I want to know like how small this town is that they're in, and then how far reaching the gaze of the Lampo ladies is. Are they driving by people's houses to see like what people are doing? That was very odd. So with religious discrimination, I don't think he has the strongest claim because he's claiming his religion requires him to do the right thing and he was doing the right thing. And people have been, Dave Ramsey is just going to claim the opposite. Well, my religion says we have to say inside together holding hands even though nobody has washed their hands, which is why Rona spread, but we're not going to get into that, which is very, very interesting. So I think the fraud claim is very interesting. I think the promissory estoppel claim is stronger than the fraud claim. To prove fraud, you have to prove that someone knowingly told you all these things and knew that they were being deceitful. I think people that work there truly believe some of these things. I really think Dave believes these things. I think Dave thinks that he's like a nice person. I think maybe he doesn't watch the playback of his own videos of him just yelling at people for no reason, but hey, that's beyond me. False pretenses, I think he has a good claim too. So that's going to be interesting. Now, we'll go through comments and then I wanted to talk about collective solidarity. I forgot to put the slides in, but we'll just talk about it specifically because last video, I think I mentioned that people should share their salary. Speaking so well, should share their salary because that helps making sure that there's pay equity. It helps to say like, hey, I make this, like, what are you making? Oh, dang, I realized I'm not making as much as you. Why is that? We're doing the same thing. We do both good work, etc. There were a few people in the comments last time saying, never share your pay, blah, 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 which is farce and nonsense. Also, the employees of, I said we were going to look at the comments and I didn't. I just went into it. Whatever, we'll go into it and I'll look at the comments. The employees of Microsoft, about 1,200 employees or so, made a spreadsheet of all of their salaries and said like, hey, this is what I'm making. What are you making? And everyone put it in. And they deducted for themselves and are claiming like, oh, we've noticed the women are all getting paid a little bit less. That's interesting. Which is why it's important, particularly if you are a cishet white man, to share your salary with everybody else. And I don't mean like give out money unless like you feel like it. I just mean just tell somebody, hey, Stephanie, we're doing the same job. I noticed that, you looking like you need some help. You looking like, I see those student loan payments aren't going down as fast. And I see that, oh, maybe you make less than me type of a thing. So that's going to be interesting to push for change. There is so much power in collective community, particularly in the workplace. If you say, oh, look, all of us have realized we're all getting treated less than somebody else, more likely for something to get done than suffering in silence. So just to say that. All right, so let's go through the comments. Okay, let's go. Let me scroll back to the top. Oh, Jonathan. Oh, if they talk crazy, trust me, we're here. Oh, you know how I am. I don't like for anybody's blood pressure to be raised on the live. I feel like, I don't know, I didn't see anything out the side of my eye of anybody being crazy. So we'll see. We will see. So Shiva Diva, thank you for helping be the mod today. I appreciate you. Super invasive in terms of the Lampo ladies. The Lampo ladies, it's really a lot. Like, I just don't see why, assumingly a lot of these women also have their own job. I'm not about to do my job and then police your coworker's wife. Like, I have things to do. I have dinner to make. I have food to eat. So strange. Okay, to I's point, no, I wouldn't work somewhere that is so involved in their employees' personal lives. Dave seems like a control freak. Yes, I agree. So to OC Swim Kim, what was such a cute username? My friend applied to work for Ramsey in 2015, didn't get hired, and got an email checking in this year. They're hurting for employees. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. So this is an interesting point. So Ruslan's point, someone's marriage may impact their quality of performance, though probably less about spouse, more about seeing their marriage dynamic. I think it's still invasive. It's invasive because what does your spouse like? If me and Gabe, and I'm bringing up Gabriel because y'all people on Instagram are being annoying. If me and Gabriel are having issues, I'm not gonna go tell my work. Like, people compartmentalize at work. This idea of like, do you bring your whole self to work is farce and nonsense. Nobody brings their whole self to work. Honestly, my whole self doesn't belong at work. My whole self's a little boisterous. 75% of me belongs at work. 25% of me can stay right in my yard. Because for what? I don't know. I think it's a little weird. Let me know if you guys what do you think about your employer knowing about your personal life at work, if it would take away from work. I feel like if your personal life, if you're having something going on, I feel like your employer should have the respect to let you deal with that on your own, because it's weird. It's very strange. Like, for example, when you take bereavement leave, you shouldn't have to say, oh, who passed away or this and that. Like, what if it's very hard for you? This past year had a lot. I don't want to talk about this, but I had a death in the family, and I had to like tell my boss, and it was hard to write it out. It was hard to say, like, I didn't want to say it. So I feel like it's very invasive. Like, that is super invasive. And then asking, like, what if you and your spouse are like having issues? Like, what does that have to do with work? Like, what does that have to do with work? Also, if employers have good PTO, you should be able to just take PTO and not say anything, which I think those are the best employers, when you just say, hey, I'm taking time off. Because I've noticed people have this thing where they'll say, hey, I'm taking time off for XYZ. Why? You don't have to say anything. It's PTO, it's paid time off. You can do whatever you want with it. You could sit on your couch. You could go to Jamaica. You could go to Bora Bora. You could go down the street to the bagel shop. You could use it. I mean, a sick day would be for the doctor. But like, this culture in America of like, oh, I have to like report in and tell people what I'm doing is very invasive and also very unnecessary. It's very much reminds me of like their that they were saying in the lawsuit about, oh, I need to report in every week how my feelings are and from red to green and how I'm doing in my personal life and etc. Why? Y'all, your employer, by the way, pays you for your time, not your life. They pay you for time, a set amount of time. So you give them that time and that's it. If you happen to like the people at work, great. If you happen to not, okay. That's kind of how I feel about it this way. All right. Oh no, I don't, friend. So this is regarding the Ramsey alleged policy of you need to you are encouraged. They didn't say need to, but you are encouraged to add your coworkers and their spouses on Facebook. Yeah, I don't recommend that. Oh no, I don't friend my coworkers unless and until we actually have a friendship outside of work. That's the way I am. I just act like I don't have social media, which is ironic. Did I tell y'all my coworker found me like a couple months ago on YouTube? That was funny. They sent me a Slack message and they're like, Stephanie, do you have YouTube? And I just wrote back, I said, maybe. And they're like, that's not a no. And then they sent me the video and I was like, yeah, but don't tell anyone. So that was interesting. And to be honest, at that point, like I had worked there for 7 months and nobody knew. So very fun. Okay, so I'm just reading through the comments. Okay, so I was wondering that. So to Blue Quartz's point, this gives swinging with y'all on the weekends vibe. Why is the spouses so involved? It's very weird. It's very weird. But hey. So to Brianna's point, I know many CEOs who fire people due to social media posts. This is true. I think that part is fairly across the board. Yes, but not your wife's social media. That does not work there. And I think that is like very much the difference here. The difference being like, okay, it's not like Amos posted anything. Also, what she posted was completely fine, which was, hey, I think the Tennessee government needs to do more. Like, I pay my taxes. Y'all need to do it. As we've talked about before, I would like an itemized receipt of my taxes, aka what is actually in the defense fund, the defense budget. This idea of, oh, I'm responsible now for what my spouse does, like this is a whole nother person. I can control what they're doing. If they're running amok on the internet, they're running amok on the internet. Like, I don't know. That would be like so odd if Gabriel's like, well, Gabriel's boss loved my YouTube. He was very cool, his old boss. But like that would be like if he didn't like it and was like, I see Stephanie is on the internet arguing with people in the comments. You gotta tell her to stop these things. It would be so strange. He would look at him and be like, Stephanie, I don't control Stephanie. Stephanie's living her own life. All right. So let's keep going through these. Okay. Okay, keeping. I'm trying to pull up the ones because this is why I try not to wait too long to read the comments. And I'm like, oh, I forget what the comments go with. So let's go. Let's go with this. To Candron's point, Jesus be catching strays all day. People really invoke the name of Jesus to do farce and nonsense. To do farce and nonsense. Every day. Every day. Okay. All right. This is a good question, Al Robinson. Where's Chris Hogan today? I don't know where he is, but I was like looking up. I was trying to find the tweets and different things that his wife had wrote when she was upset, understandably and rightfully upset. And she wrote a book, so she's doing well. They're very much divorced. But yeah. Oh, to Blue Quartz answer. Not with his wife, definitely not. She seems much happier. I'm very happy for her. She has now since taken up, which I'll drop in the comments because it's very funny. She's a lawyer, his wife, a very good lawyer, from what I can read. And she has a whole breakdown of all of Dave Ramsey's current lawsuits. So she's just keeping up with the lawsuits, posting about them on her Medium, which good for her because it was too much. They were all in her marriage for no reason. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so to Nizuko's point, I worked at a place like this that even had in the contract that your hair had to be tied back and refresh your lipstick when going to greet clients. See, no, I can't. It's the things that these companies think is normal to require of people is flabbergasting when you sit and think about it. Blue Quartz, American Christianity is different. It's very subjective, I've noticed. Very subjective. Okay. All right. I think we're okay. I think we've gotten all of it. To Shiva Diva's point, not the day drinking on the job. Yes. To allegedly them drinking whiskey on the job. Tisk tisk. Okay. Blue quartz. It's a cult reorientation. It's very strange. It's very strange. I don't know why people still work there. Okay. All right. So I think we had oh, Marathon Girl 27. Yep, HR told us to add. So this is in terms of if you're looking for jobs. One of the things I don't count, like early in my career, I was like, oh, great, they have all these awards. Must be a great place. Now that I have been all my life, I've had to work. Now that I've been in corporate long enough, I'm like, if y'all have all these awards, I don't trust it. I don't care about it. Because generally HR incentivizes employees to get these awards, generally speaking. Also, Glassdoor loves to go in. If you, as an attorney, I've worked with HR teams, you are allowed to dispute certain Glassdoor reviews. So a lot of companies will go in and be like, oh no, they use certain words, and they will get the Glassdoor review taken down, which Glassdoor has tried to combat that now and say like, no, we keep everything up, which they don't. They absolutely do not. So it's rough. I think the best way if you're looking at a company that you want to work for to make sure that it's 100% for you is to ask current employees, like find them on LinkedIn and say like, particularly ones that are going to work like in your department, and ask them like, hey, I'm interviewing for this. Do you mind if we have like a candid conversation about how you feel about this workplace? I would definitely ask. And then also, you could get real bold and ask your potential manager to speak with people that she or him that they already manage, and say like, okay, that's cool, I want to speak to so and so and see how they feel about you, and that's it. So that definitely helps. Oh, to small access point at my job. This is regarding Microsoft and their employees all sharing, not all of them, but 1,200 of them sharing their salaries. At my job, it is on our contract that we can't share our salary with anyone except our spouse. Oh, that's so crappy. I hate that companies do that. And to Shiva Diva's point, is that even legal in your state? That is a good question. That is a good question. Um, and Blue Cord, small acts, so they ain't paying somebody market. Usually when companies are trying to hide salary is because they're not paying the market rate. I owe a great deal of thankfulness. Before the fall of WeWork, I worked in WeWork corporate as my dream job. What was my like long, nice title? Tech transactions counsel. I wanted to work there like all of law school. When I finally got a job, I was like, it was great. It was WeWork who let me know I was being underpaid because they had salary bands. The amount that I got paid is not even what I asked for. I asked for way less, and they were like, oh, that's below our salary band. Our salary band is this. So now when I interview for a job, I ask them, what is a salary band? That is the best way to ensure that you are not going to get screwed, because they have to give you an answer, and then you can always ask for more. You can, negotiate off of that. It was so much money that I was like, oh, wow, I quit my job and I was asking my job for literally $20,000 less than this. Wow. So I owe a huge thank you to them as to why I finally got an actual lawyer salary. Oh, financial baby steps. Well, I'm late, probably for the best, because I don't want to believe such negativity from my Uncle Dave's company. Your Uncle Dave is a problematic man. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying. To Candron's point about bringing your whole selves. Oh wait, did I put the same one? Oh, about bringing your whole self to work. Some people do bring their whole selves, and they're the ones in charge and promoting based on who else is bringing in their whole self. Usually, the people bringing in their whole selves are usually people saying grossly inappropriate shit at work. To be honest, and usually the people that nobody has ever told them like, you do realize like your personality is jarring and offensive, which is I've noticed over the years. It's never like the sensible people that are like, oh yeah, like I do this fun thing after work. Never. It's always somebody that likes to make off-color jokes, and they're always like, but I say it about everybody. And I'm like, and everybody doesn't like you. But here you are. We've all like worked with that person. They're always so annoying. All right. This is super interesting about people sharing their social media life. My supervisor was always sharing his personal life since first days on the job. Um, I after we're friends, I'll share it, but like I'm suss out whether or not people are your friend. That's kind of how I am about it. Cause some you just don't know. You just don't know. People have different like motives for like work, which is interesting. Like some people are like, oh, I need to get paid, like which is normal. And some people are like, this is my whole life. All I do is this. And that can be a little different, when they realize not everybody is wired that way. Okay. Uh Simply Dolores, I don't like when management tells your coworkers your business. That keeps me from being comfortable sharing my personal life. Exactly. That's always my fear. If I tell one person, I don't know. Sorry, my nose running. You don't know if that person is a busybody. So if, for example, my YouTube, I didn't tell anybody at my prior jobs. I was like, oh, I don't want to explain this. My job before that, everybody, like besides my boss, knew, to be honest. And they were like super supportive of it. It was a smaller channel back then. It's still small, but it was like they were on hold of you. And so it was growing. It was like something for us to chat about, like whatever. With this job, I was like, oh, they're a little bit more straight-laced. It was financial tech. I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody. So my one coworker found out. It wasn't a coworker that I was close to. It was a coworker that I'd spoken to maybe a few times because we were like in the ERG. And I was just like, oh geez. Well, also, I think it's interesting when people find the video, what video they find the channel, what video they find the channel on, because that tells me a lot about the person. That's what I'm very like, that's interesting. No one ever finds a student loan video, sadly, even though I think like those are of good value. People seem to find that darn Joe Budden video, which my question is always, are you watching Joe Budden? Like, why did this pop up? So that is interesting. To type effectiveness. We are family, Steph. I think this is talking about like those jobs that are like, we're a family. No, when people say that about work, I'm like, run. This feels very strange. To Kiana's point, I feel like it is inappropriate to discuss your personal life because it opens up room for judgment and emotions that shouldn't be involved with in work conversations. That's how I feel about it. I have noticed though, and this is I think a hard truth, particularly like as a Black woman, that I've realized, and all of my friends that are also Black women have realized. I think Black people and racialized people in general realize when you are very much like, I keep my work and my personal life private. People, particularly like your white coworkers, sometimes will complain. It will come up in reviews, say so and so is standoffish. So and so doesn't want to talk. So and so doesn't share. I've had friends combat this by basically not saying a lie, but saying like small things. Be like, oh yeah, I have a life. Like here's these things that maybe happened like forever ago that they're comfortable with, to like humanize it. I don't think it should be that way because I really do think like there's a reason why we're guarded at work. Like I'm not going to tell you what I did on the weekend and like you're over here crocheting. Like maybe you think it's weird that I'm over here on YouTube, like talking to a camera. Maybe it is weird. Like maybe you think like whatever. So, but I have noticed in terms of like who gets promoted and why, one of the things is, oh, is this person collegial? And collegiality always in a corporate setting ties into, well, how much of their business do I know? Do I feel like they tell me and I tell them? So it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. But I also am a big proponent of, I'm not going to these after work events and spending my hard-earned penny that belongs to Fed loan on y'all. So y'all can feel like I'm not standoffish. I'm not doing it. If it's company sponsored, fine. Fine. But gone are the days of me spending my pennies so that way I don't look standoffish. All right. Oh, they were also Black. So like they were like joking around, but it was kind of like, oh, I'm caught, regarding my coworker who saw my video with Jonathan Lyman Brand. I do the same thing. I don't tell my employers I have a YouTube channel. Granted, I make most of my videos at work. Oh, well, we're gonna just take this off. They not gonna know that. Don't worry about that. So blessed for days. Don't add your coworkers to your social media. I know way too many people who were fired for a coworker running back snitching. It's true. It is true, which is why I'm just like, just. I'm not saying overtly block them all, but child, it's fine. They don't need to know. They don't need to know. Okay. What? I'm glad financial baby steps you're coming around to realize your Uncle Dave is a little screws are not wired all the way tight. Okay. So let's have I gone it? Mm. Um, People have to stop doing that undercover boss stuff and telling their whole life story to fellow coworker on the first day of the job. Yeah, just you could say small things like, "Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm the oldest of seven. I'm from Miami. I'm Jamaican." Like that was a lot of facts. I could spread that out over a month. No one needs to know all of that in day one, and then plus more, and then all these other things. Okay. H Dan Real Politics. I'm just logging on, but this is wild. This man has a god complex, and he's probably sleeping with a. Well, I'm done with y'all. Y'all just have me reading anything. Okay. Um. Oh, thank you, Golumph. It reminds me of Gollum. I found your channel from the student loan videos. Yay! I'm glad. I am glad. Fila Bookworm. My coworkers say that I am standoffish. I do not care. We are coworkers, not friends. Yeah, I agree. I will say, because I'm very much like, child, I work with you. And it takes a long time for me to be like, okay, like we can do something outside of work. Because like you don't know people, you just don't know. But I do. Some of my closest friends eventually, and I've said this story before, but it's worth repeating now since we're talking about this. Chelsea and I, who Chelsea has been like on the channel a few times, like called in, is one of my closest friends. When Chelsea and I work together, Chelsea has a very strict like, I don't know you. I'm not talking to you. Like, you're going to get a nod, like, whatever. And I was like, oh, she doesn't like me. But, like, that's okay. Like, I liked her. I did. I was like, oh, she just seems very cool. Like, I feel like we would get along, whatever. And so I was like, oh, well, it's called boundaries. I'll just wait till she wants to be my friend. And she's just one of my close friends. We talk every day. There's like four of us. We talk every day. Me, her, Jasmine, and Lisa. And I think it's fine to set your boundaries. And then when you feel comfortable to be like, okay, like, do you want to go to lunch? And now it's hard because we're in Rona. We don't go outside anymore. But in the office, I think that was our first, like, we're still at work, but we had 30-minute lunch. Let's go to lunch and let's see, like, okay, like we could be friendly. I think that's a good way to do it. All right. Feel a bookworm. I'm the youngest of seven and the only dude. Woof. The youngest. Wow, a baby and a baby boy. Wow. Rough. Okay. Oh, speaking of Chelsea, here go Chelsea right here, child. Pro tip for fake getting along with coworkers, especially white ones. But I've had people when Chelsea and I used to work together be like, Chelsea doesn't like me. Like, she doesn't want to speak to me. And I was like, you think too highly of yourself to think that she even noticed this. But okay. It used to make me laugh. Like, me and Jasmine used to laugh about this all the time. So, to Chelsea's very good point, because she has tried this, especially talk about TV shows, movies, and music, especially The Bachelor. I cannot deal with you. Oh, white women love that shit. It feels personal, but it's not. And this is a good tip. This is a good tip. My thing is, I'm very, so like we're the opposite in this regard, Chelsea and I. I'm very transparent. So if you ask me something, I would just answer you, which I have learned the hard way numerous times. Every other business day, I learned this to stop just answering people, particularly on Instagram, which is why sometimes I don't answer my DMs, because sometimes people say wild shit to me and I'm like, what is this? And that was like a weird thing about corporate. I never told everybody my business, but somebody would ask something. And I had when Chelsea and I were together, I had a very nosy boss who was very much invested in my personal life, particularly my personal dating life. It was very weird. And she would ask all these questions. And I used to be so uncomfortable until I started just telling her like small things to just get her off my back. And I wish that I would have just talked to Chelsea about it and tried that because I was like, why do you keep asking these questions? This is so weird. But yeah, MF. It feels like it's a cultural thing. I feel like we as Black people feel like everyone is sus until proven not. That's true. That's true. Also, listen, corporate America in general, though, is violent and sus towards Black people, which is why we're always like, I don't know about this. Not about this. All right. OC Swim. I'm from Milwaukee. You make new friends at the bar. That's it. Listen. Hi, Carl. I see you. Maverick, cuz ain't that what LinkedIn is for? A work career, social media. LinkedIn is a wild place. Have you been on this in a while? Like LinkedIn is just like a crazy, crazy place. Like LinkedIn has devolved into like high key racist Facebook. Actually, I've been meaning to do a video on that to just show y'all screenshots I see of people with their whole government name, their whole employer on there saying wild shit, wild cuckoo banana stuff to each other. Like, wait, what? It's craziness. It's craziness. Okay, so let's continue. Blue Course Chelsea with the free game. Listen. Opulence Prime. I'm guilty of just answering. I think they'll go away, but they never do and just keep going. This is what it is. I think if I answer somebody, like, okay, well, I answered you, like, okay, we're done. And that's not how that works. So I have slowly learned that. To Jonathan's point, sound like we all need to do a bachelor watch along together for research purposes only. It seems like it would help. It seems like it would help. Shiva Diva. LinkedIn is not the spot. I refuse to use it anymore. Got rid of my account years ago. I think it's good to just have the account so that way people know, like, hey, I'm a real person. I have a job. Because I don't know, I guess companies act a little weird when you don't have one sometimes. But yeah, I don't talk to anybody. I don't post on that thing. I think there's like one post on there, and I was like, oh, see that crazy. All right. So it is definitely very much a mess. All right. Giselle, and a lot of the time it's business owners with nothing to lose with the hottest takes on LinkedIn. Yes, there are a lot of business owners on there saying wild stuff, but I've seen a lot of people that are director level and above at decent sized companies because I look up where they work because then I'm curious, just saying wild things. It's just a crazy place. It's just devolved into, it used to be great. It has devolved into a crazy, crazy place. We'll do that video. All right. Well, on that note, it's 8 o'clock. I've kept y'all. Things that I owe you. Student loan video will come up and we're gonna talk about my job transition, which will be fun. Patreon, the last one for Colonizer Exposed France will come out this weekend. I promise. Promise that comfort to a fool. So knock on wood. I swear. I will do it. I'm sorry. And then we're gonna start with Spain. I wanted to at least do one for Colonizer Exposed Spain before the year ends. And then yeah. So those are things coming up. And I think we're going to do some commentary style videos just to see how y'all like them. And we'll see. So I appreciate y'all. As always, this was fun. I'm glad, for the most part, people were nice in the comments. We'll see. I'm sure the comments coming in afterwards will be, the Ramsey Rambos acting up, even though I told them to lower their own blood pressure for their own health and safety. But it is what it is. Highly recommend this wine. It's great. I'm sad that it's done, but I don't know. I can't really be sad because it was me who drank it. So there's that. And on that note, I will see y'all later. Next Thursday is the 23rd. So yeah, we'll have live. So we're gonna have a live on the 23rd, and then we'll have a live on the 30th too, and hopefully some videos in between. So yeah, I will see all of y'all later. Thank you again, Shiva Diva, for being the moderator. I appreciate you. All right. I hope all of you have a good almost weekend.